Willow Creek, one of the really cool things we get to do is we do the Leadership Summit every other year in Germany. Super intense, lots of work, but a great experience. So 2 years ago, 2010, we're in Germany, and Bill sends me an email. Bill Heibel sends me an email about 8 in the morning, and he says, hey, I'm speaking at the first session at 9, and I'm thinking I'd like to show a video clip of our baptism service that happened a couple weeks ago. So I'm thinking, okay, we're in Germany, and I don't have videotapes of services just like right here. So as we sort of getting closer and closer to 9 a.m., when this thing's starting, we figure out that we can get footage of the baptism, but we'll have to wake somebody up in Chicago to work on this for us and then send it to us. So I told this person, hey, okay, I will ask, I'm going to take this to Bill and just see what he says. And because the person who's getting, the spouse of the person we're going to wake up is not going to hate me for making the call. They're going to have a problem with Bill at the end of the day. So do I want to make that decision for him? So anyway, I go to him and I say, hey, we can totally do this. We're really excited to, give you this footage, but it means we have to wake somebody up, at the other end. And he said, oh, you know what? It was just an idea. It's no big deal. Don't worry about it. And so as a result, we didn't have to wake somebody up. We didn't damage anybody's reputation, for being kind of demanding person. And I think, the team of people that was around me trying to figure this out, we all kind of learned, it never hurts to put this in, let Bill have the burden of decision-making, not me, in that situation. So it was a couple things, it was about educating him about what it was really going to take to do it, and then letting him decide if it's worth that much to him.
We talk about it, too, at North Coast, Larry Osborne. His whisper is a shout. Right, that's what it is, and there's certain guys on your team. Some of you your whispers become a shout too. But he'll walk by and say, "Oh, those trash cans look really ugly," And someone, if they hear that, thinks, "I got to change every single trash can on this campus." If they would have asked him, he would say, "Oh, I just don't like the way they look. It's no big deal," right? But we panic because we hear and we don't investigate and really push a little bit and say, "Is that important? This is what it would take to do that." The resources it would take to change all those or whatever, or it's going to cost this much money. Because he's just talking out loud, walking around. So some of us, I know our pastors are that way. Some aren't, but it was a great example of that whispers a shout.
I think as a group, we're kind of universally known for the knee-jerk no, no, we can't do that, instead of, figuring out what exactly are we looking for.
Yeah, and that's being a good leader, is finding the solutions to take back. I call it the yes, but. Yes, we can do that, but I have to wake somebody up. It's going to cost us $3 million, and you may not have it in time. And your pastor may go, well, forget it. Or he may say, I've got $3 million with the board of directors, and let's do it. Okay, well, then we'll make it happen. But here, whether it's costing us personal resources and volunteers or staff or money, or if whatever we need to do to make it happen, as a leader of the tech ministry, you need to climb that tree, figure out whether it's with your staff or volunteers how to make that happen, and bring that solution back to your pastor. And I think that's how you build trust. Instead of saying to your pastor, no, we can't do that. Well, I bet you could do that. Go figure out how to do that, because that's why you're a volunteer leader or the staff leader of your team.
Yeah, I can only agree with everything that's been said. As an example, every 5 years we do Easter service in the Angels baseball stadium. And 10 years ago or 12 years ago, we had a big Harvest Crusade, big stage, big band, big everything. It was cool. Well, 5 years later, which is just a couple years ago, sat in the leadership meeting and went, if you've seen Saddleback, we're based off a little baseball diamond kind of a structure. And Rick said, hey, I don't want a big stage in the middle of that. I just want to be on the baseball diamond. It was from a tech guy, you're like, but sound and camera and all this kind of stuff. And let him know it's not going to look great. you're going to use the stadium PA. It's not going to sound great. And how are you going to do bands? And let them know what all the issues were, and let the whole team know what all the issues were. And we all said, really, do you want to do that? He said, yeah, we'll do it. And so our Easter was an empty baseball stadium with Rick on the pitcher's mound preaching, and then all musicians on wireless going. It was really awkward, really awkward. The meeting after that Easter, he said, we'll never do that again. So and it's sort of, I don't want to say it's one of those I told you so moments, but you do have to kind of know what you're going into, and it doesn't always go your way. You can go in and try to get that no. It doesn't always happen, so you have to be ready,
I'll say something. When I got involved at Church on the Move, not having any church experience other than just attending from all my life, the first thing I noticed around was everybody just said yes all the time. So if the senior pastor laid something out, it was taken as an edict. I get that. Total respect. He's the guy. And that's the way our church is structured, probably like a lot of them, where, it's him. There's no corporate situation or no committee. But one thing I realized just from getting to know him a little bit, he had been getting some really poor technical advice for years. And he actually said that to me one day. I was in a room with a very terrible look on my face, I'm sure, as I'm looking at some awesome problem, and he just walked in just out of nowhere, and I'm like, well, hello, hi. And, he's just looking around and asked me what I'm doing, and I'm really trying to come up with a really good reason of why I'm there, whatever it was. And he just said, I've just gotten a lot of really poor technical advice over for a long, long time. And he didn't tell me that I was giving him good advice or anything. It was just kind of assumed. I was assuming that he just had forgotten to tell me that. But I think he was meaning like, thank you because he was really sensing that I was trying to give quality information, even though it might not have been what everybody wanted to hear. But I started realizing over time that he was actually expecting me to push back a little bit. And it started cultivating. That happened in a few different areas. And so now there's this, you have to ride that line of respectfulness, because you don't want to come across like you're too good to deal with it, but just he's expecting a little bit of pushback, like in a meeting for a remodel, and he had some big plan or whatever it was, and I still wasn't real good at having a poker face, I guess. And he just looked across the table and he's like, "You don't see it that way?" And I was like, "What?" But it was one of those things of realizing, like, he really does need pushback because he hired me for what I could bring to the table instead of just always saying, "Yeah, we'll do that."
Like Dennis said, you never know unless you ask. And so when we were doing this project with OKC, with our OKC broadcast campus, we did we basically had $1 million to do this project, and it meant replacing the entire PA, all video, and most of the lighting. So going through this project, Craig was in it from day one. The first day we went over to the campus to look at it, and he walked in and goes, "Greg, what's it going to take to do a new PA in here?" And I was like, I hadn't done I'd done a little bit of preparation, but I just kind of pulled something out. I was like, I have $450,000. And he's like, "Okay, all right." So we get to talking. This project continues to evolve. We're sitting in a meeting. Like I said just a little bit ago, he goes, there was a meeting where he's like, "Does anybody know what they're doing?" And so there was that, and there was the pushback there. Well, it comes back down to it. We had Andrew and some of the guys on his team come down, had this big brainstorm, kind of put together an idea of what we could do from a lighting side. And I went to him and said, "Listen, I would like to do this." His only question was, "Is it going to make me look better?" I was like, "Yeah, okay." That was a $120,000 question, but I had to ask for it, and he was fine with it. So I had that relationship and the trust that was built, after conversation and conversation and conversation of push and, give and take, give and take, give and take, where in the end, it was a win. And It was a big win for our team, and it was a big win for Craig. I mean, first day he walked on stage, it was like, this is how it's supposed to be.
I think a common thread is communication. And, we can assume they know what we're talking about, but it could just be like Charlie Brown and the teacher and not really connecting. I learned that really quick working with Lincoln. And I really had to change the way I communicated quickly or I was going to be somewhere else. And again, that's not their job to change the way they communicate for us. I have to adapt the way I communicate to leadership so that I'm clearly understood and they can make an appropriate decision based on my communication. Me giving, like Andrew talking about, information that his pastor had gotten. It's up to me to communicate for them. I learned that really quick working with Lincoln because the place I came from is just like they did whatever I said and there was no pushback and it was gravy train. But whereas Lincoln, you guys may know, obviously he's a great musician, guitarist, all that, but even more so, he's a phenomenal tech guy. He knows gear inside and out way more than me, probably better than most of my team. So that makes us better because we have to be better. The typical communication like, oh, let me turn this knob real quick, this suck knob, like what we talk about. That doesn't work because he'll come back and mix the console himself.
While playing
Literally,
guitar.
while playing guitar.
I've actually seen it, yep.
So anyways, that communication, I would just, if you're hitting roadblocks and trying to maybe buy gear or just design your system around, the service, if you're hitting roadblocks, maybe just go and ask them, how would you like me to communicate with you? In a very humble and, passive way, but some guys just like quick text. Hey, just give me a quick text or a face-to-face or a lunch meeting. Hopefully it's not a breakfast meeting. Just go directly and just ask them, how would you like me to communicate with you?
But I'll tell you what, you don't build a track record by saying no. You won't build a track record with your pastor if the answer is always no. I understand everybody's situation, your resources, what you have as your team, but if you're portrayed as the no guy, you will not have trust or will not build that track record when you need something, right? Because part of your job is to make it happen, right, with what you have. But part of that is what Brian talked about is explaining what you have and how you can do it. And the other piece, too, one of you guys hit on was, I hate to hear third hand Larry wants something, right? Because, to them, this person coming to me saying it's immediate, he needs it now. And if it's really that important, I do what Todd does. You either pick up the phone or call, or hopefully you have that relationship and say, hey, do you really need this now? So-and-so said it's immediate. Oh, I don't need that for weeks. That's like, great, because I'm going to do it in a week or two. I got other things going on right now. But, it's really that understanding, and it's a little bit of that picking up the phone or asking, like all these guys have talked about, just asking the question, communication.
The other part about your track record is that even when you have advice that, hey, this baseball diamond thing is going to be a disaster, that when it is a disaster, that's part of your track record that, hey, I said it wouldn't go well and it didn't. I need to stop myself from saying I told you so and know that in the back of their mind, like Rick Warren's like, yeah, we shouldn't have done it. We'll never do it again. That's like, that's a check in the win column as far as trust between you and your leader go.